Welcome back to another video about how to heal adoption and narcissistic abuse. If you are new to my channel, my name is Theodora. I work as a spiritual and psychological counselor, and I am an adoptee myself. In this video, I want to talk about how changing my mindset changed everything in my life. How changing my mindset changed everything about my healing process, and how it changed everything about my self-concept, my perception of reality, my self-worth, my thoughts, my entire reality, literally. When I was standing around 4 years ago at this starting point, I explained it in one of my previous videos, so you can go and watch that before watching this perhaps. But when I was standing around 4 years ago at this bridge point, I would call it, it was a bridge point where I couldn't run away from myself anymore. I couldn't run away from my desires anymore. And I couldn't run away from my self-worth that I knew that I had within me. I knew that I was more than what happened to me. I knew that I was more than how people were treating me. I knew that I was more than the family I was adopted into. And I knew that I was more than the family I was born into. I reached a point where I had enough. And one thing that completely changed everything in my life, that changed everything for me, it was not the endless sessions with a therapist. It was not the endless conversations with my friends. It was not by adding more mindful shit into my life. Not that mindfulness is bad, but when we overdo it, it loses its function, right? So it's not by adding more of all of these mindful things that I almost couldn't live my life because I had so many mindful practices at one point. It was not by adding more. It was by saying to myself, I'm going to commit 1000% to create the life that I dream of, to create the life that I desire deep within my soul. I'm going to devote everything, every cell in my entire body. And I'm going to commit to do whatever it takes to create this life. That shift in my mindset, to go from not being completely sure, is this possible? Am I deserving of this? Should I listen to all the people that say I can't live this life that I just described for them? It's too good to be true. Should I listen to them? I could continue to listen to them, but I literally reached a point where I realized that I was in way more pain from not listening to myself, from not making decisions from within myself, from not doing what I knew in my heart I needed to do in order to live the life that I want. Making this mindset shift was not necessarily easy. What came afterwards was not easy, but it was 1,000 times worth it. I can sit right now, living the life that I live, and say, looking back, that was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. I wouldn't say I wish I had made it sooner, because I had a lot of life lessons that I needed to learn in order to be able to sit where I sit today, live the life I live, do the work that I do for a living, which is helping other adopted people to build their bridge to create the life that they want. Because I believe that it's so fucking possible. It's so fucking possible. It's not an illusion. It's not a dream. It's not magic. And even if it is magic, what's wrong with that? Don't we all deserve a little magic in our life after what we went through, after all the pain and suffering we went through? We all deserve magic. And so I made this commitment. I made this devotion to do whatever it takes. So that meant that whatever happened in my life moving forward after making this commitment, I needed to constantly hold myself accountable for that commitment. And I needed to constantly check in with myself every time I found myself in a difficult situation, in a situation where I would usually use my old coping mechanisms, my old triggers, my past way of reacting, responding. I needed to hold myself accountable and check in with myself every time. And that's not easy. That's exhausting. In the beginning, it's very exhausting. You get so tired. But what you get tired of is yourself. You get tired of that you are continuing to respond with old learning, with old ways of protecting yourself, of navigating difficult situations. That's what you get tired of. You don't get tired of the situations, you get so tired of yourself. So that actually just amplified my devotion to continue to do whatever it takes to create the life that I dream of. So one thing that I did, and I still do to this day, that I find really important, and you probably heard it in a lot of videos, but that's because it really works. Create a vision for yourself. If you haven't created a vision about what it is that you want to manifest, what kind of life do you want to live moving forward? Now you experience the shit life. Now you experience trauma, abandonment, rejection, neglection, loss, gaslighting, perhaps all of it. What do you want to be in this life moving forward? If you should imagine that you had won the cosmic lottery, that's something I say to all my hypnotherapy clients actually. I say, if you should imagine that you have won the cosmic lottery and you could literally get everything you want that will make you happy, what would that be? How would that look like? How would that feel like inside your body? How would you be a different person? How would you show up differently? I created this vision for myself when I was at the beginning of my career as being self-employed. Actually, I created this vision, and when I look back now, I was not dreaming big enough. But that's natural when we begin doing something we haven't done. Our mind is naturally limited to not daring to dream big enough. And I think that what I have learned about visualization and about picturing this future amazing life that we all want to live, that looks different from everyone. It's that I think it has to be realistic in the beginning, because if we are dreaming something that is way down the road, it will require something from us in order to hold on to that vision that we might not are able to generate at this point. So something I did was I made a timeline. So I made like the end goal where I was watching myself. This is how I look like. This is the life I'm living. This is how it feels like to live this life. Way down the road, like when I want to retire, how do I want this life to look like? And I can tell you what I imagine and what I still imagine. I get goosebumps just by imagining it, because I know it's coming when I get closer to my retirement. I imagine myself being this older woman living in this very beautiful wooden house, way deep into a forest. And if you follow me on my social media, you know that I currently live literally right next to a very huge deep forest. So it's already happening. Can you see that? So even though I made this final destination of an older, retired version of myself living in a forest, I am actually approaching that by living right next to a forest right now. So imagine this woman, and I've seen her over and over in like meditations, hypnotherapy sessions, in my dreams. When I daydream, I see this woman. And it's a very simple visualization, simple picture. I see myself as this older woman. I'm sitting in a garden that I have really nurtured. There's so many herbs, like beautiful flowers. There's so many roses. And I'm sitting at this like homemade terrace that's made like of like rocks. And I'm just sitting in a chair with a book, drinking coffee and reading my book. And then just being one with this garden, just being one with the forest around me, and just really enjoying my life. And it's so strange that a picture so simple can create so much movement in a person's life. And the feeling that is attached to this end goal picture that I hold for myself is this feeling of, I have so many beautiful memories of so many amazing experiences that I can take with me when I leave my physical body one day. And it's that feeling of life is not only bad, life is not only suffering, life is not only painful. It's also a very, very beautiful experience, because I have experienced both of the end of the spectrum. I've experienced the deepest pain, but also the biggest joy. So what's really interesting about creating this end goal, this end picture, is that we can create midway goals on this road, on this path, so that we can make it realistic and so that we can achieve them faster. If we split it up, if we divide it into minor manifestations, minor desired states, then we can easily attract it and we can easily manifest it. So one thing that I was manifesting, that I was imagining for my first midway goal to reach this final destination that's way in the future, was that I wanted to move outside of Copenhagen. I want to move outside of the capital of Denmark, where I had been living for about 12 years. That was my first midway goal that I wanted to achieve. And I achieved that goal a little bit less than 3 years after I began this journey. And maybe it sounds like a long time, but time actually moves fast. If you have a goal, a visualization to hold on to, I think you will be surprised that time actually moves faster than what it normally will, because now you have a destination. Now you have something to work for. Now you have something you have committed yourself to achieve. Whereas if we were still in this stuck mode of feeling lost, of not having any direction in our life, of not having a desired state, of not having any goals, time would just feel completely different. The experience of time would feel completely different. It will feel very slower, because we have not created this end goal so we can measure time, so we can measure our process, measure our achievements. If we don't create that goal, then time is just going to feel like another day in hell, right? Like that's how it's going to feel like. So we have to create these goals. I know it can be difficult to create these goals because there's a part of you that won't believe you deserve it. And that's something you will have to work on along the way. So in order for me to be accountable for that devotion, I had to check in on myself. Every time I had a negative thought, a past limiting beliefs, negative beliefs about myself, my self-concept, my self-worth, I had to check in and say, but you made that devotion, didn't you? Are you just gonna completely release that devotion now, or let go of it, or just forget about it just because there is a negative thought or negative belief that's just pointing in your face? Are you just gonna just give up that devotion, or are you gonna get yourself together and find a way to work through that negative belief, that negative self-talk? So I began searching for ways to release and change my negative belief system. And one of the ways I did it was through guided meditation. And I've said it in many videos. I feel like I said in many videos that guided meditations really, really changed something fundamentally in my life, but they did. And I know a lot of people that don't find guided meditations helpful. They find yoga very helpful. I can't do yoga. I have too much trauma in my body, so I can't do yoga. It's just too triggering for me. It's too uncomfortable for me to do yoga. But some people might have the other experience. And this is because we carry our traumas in different ways. So whatever works for you, continue doing that. And then let go of whatever other people think you should do. I have many people that said, oh, you do yoga, you should do yoga. And I'm just like, I can't do yoga. And then I keep saying to people, oh, you should do guided meditation. And people are like, I can't stay 1 minute in my head with my thoughts, just not thinking about anything. So it's very different, like what works for us, right? So just, I think, try different things out and then stick to what works for you. Maybe it's not guided meditation, but that works for me and it's amazing and I love it. And I think that's also what led me into starting hypnotherapy, because there's just something really, really amazing about it. So anyway, I use guided meditations to really, really get all of these negative thoughts, negative beliefs changed within myself. And I also used a lot of other techniques that I actually recently realized are hypnotherapy techniques, but I didn't know at that point. But it's a way of really stopping our thoughts from running us over, controlling our minds, controlling our perception of reality. And one of the easy exercises that I want to share with you that you can do whenever there's a part of you that's holding you back from making the right decision that's based from your heart, or that you are finding yourself in a situation where you struggle with setting a boundary because you're afraid that then you're going to be rejected, abandoned, and whatever it triggers within you, right? I want you to stop for a moment, and then I want you to really call in that negative thought, the negative emotion, or the negative belief. Call it into your mind so you can see it very clearly in front of you. And then I want you to right away imagine this white light just completely taking over all of you, this white light that you're just consumed in this white, amazing, beautiful light. And then at the same time as you're doing that, and at the same time you are holding on to the negative belief or thought or emotion, I want you to remember or recall a very pleasant memory, past memory. Or it can also be a very pleasant place you have visited, maybe a vacation you were on, or a place where you just feel so much joy and you had just such a good time. I want you to imagine that at the same time. And it sounds like a lot, and it is. But the thing is that our mind is not capable of thinking of a negative thing and a positive thing at the same time. It's not possible. The mind can't do that. It's too much to ask for, literally. So what will happen is the positive memory will shut this negative element down. It just will. Because the mind can't do both. It can't both imagine a negative thought, a negative belief, or negative emotion, while also imagining a very amazing past memory. It can't. So this is an exercise that you can do over and over again. I really want you to do it over and over again, because you will have many other negative thoughts, many other negative beliefs and emotions after you just shut that down. There will come others afterwards, right? So don't see it as the next time a negative thing comes up that so the exercise did not work. No, it worked with that thought, that belief. But now it's a new situation, and maybe you'll experience that it's the same belief or the same negative thought. And it's because sometimes we need to repeat these exercises because you have held on to this shit maybe your entire life. So just by one exercise, it might not do it the first time. So just be realistic about that, and don't see it as a failure. Don't see it as you're useless or anything like that. Celebrate instead that you're actually doing it. You're doing the work. You're actually fighting your negative thoughts, your negative beliefs and negative emotions. You're actually fighting them because you have devoted to fight them, right? That's what I had to say to myself. This devotion is the most important thing in my life right now that I can focus on, that I can pour my energy into. It's that devotion of creating this life that I want to live. And whenever I found myself in a situation where I wasn't sure what I should choose, should I choose to let this potentially toxic person into my life, or should I choose to stay with my devotion, I kept using the comparison and said, if you choose this person, if you choose to let this shitty person into your life, then why not go back to your old life? Because that was also shitty, and that was full of shitty people. Now you have come this far, and you are accidentally meeting a potential toxic person. what are you going to choose? Are you going to let yourself down? Are you going to abandon yourself? Are you going to abandon your devotion? Are you going to give up your devotion? Are you going to give up your dream life that you are about to build, that you are approaching more and more and more each day? Are you going to fucking stick with that and say, no, you cannot enter my life. You cannot be a part of my life. You don't fit into this life. The people that fit into my life are loving, caring, empathetic people. They are not toxic like you are. So I'm very sorry, but there's not room for you in my life, because my peace is way more important than me letting you down for not letting you into my life. You might think that that is egocentric, that is selfish to say, but it's not. It's not. Consider the fact that you've been won over your fucking whole life by people that did not care about you, that did not care about what you need, your worth, your heart, your soul. They did not care. So now you can make a devotion and say, I am going to care. I am going to care for myself, my life, my heart, my soul. And the way I commit, I stay with that commitment, is by checking in with myself. Whenever a toxic person wants to enter and ruin my peace and ruin my happiness, I have to check in with myself. Because if I don't do that, I can literally just go back and live my old life. Because I didn't do that either when I was living that life. That was the difference from living this life I've devoted to live and the past life that I'm letting go of. It's that simple. It's actually that simple. What I discovered in my process is that if you don't take control over your mind, over your thoughts, over your limiting beliefs, they are going to control you. You need to take the control back. And we literally do that through every single thought. Thought by thought by thought. Belief by belief by belief. That's how we do it. And at some point, it will change so that the negative past things within ourselves, conditioning that's holding us down, it can't hold us down anymore. So it has to let go, and it has to surrender to all the positive, joyful things that we pour into our life, the positive thoughts, the inspiring thoughts, the encouraging thoughts, the empowering beliefs about ourselves. All that things, at some point it will do like this. Just completely natural. And then when it has done this, there's no going back. It's not because it's going to be like, I want to go back. No, it's going to stay there. It's going to stay there because this is your new foundation you have built. And no one can come and break that down. No one can come and ruin that or destroy that. No one. Because it's that solid. So don't ever fear that it's going to that it can be reversed. I don't believe that. I have not experienced that in my life so far. So why should it happen, right? It's only going to continue moving forward towards me as a retired woman sitting in my garden, reading a book, drinking coffee, and feeling like life is not that bad after all. It's also fun. I had fun living this life, and I'm gonna take that with me when I leave. That's all I have for you now. I hope that by sharing my own experience, it was helpful, supportive in your process I know that you're going through a lot. Don't get me wrong. I completely get it. I was there myself, so I completely get it. And if you feel like you need more guidance and support, I highly recommend that you check out my new book that I just published. It's filled with so many great exercises, so many new insights, learnings that you can use in navigating your adult life moving forward. I will put a link in the description box below. Until then, I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.